The Spotrac Podcast, talking sports contracts, the salary cap, and business of sports.
Hey, everybody, welcome to the Spotrac Podcast. I'm Kevin Sylvester, along with Paul Peck. We're from BuffaloSportsPage.com, and Mike Giannetti, founder of Spotrac.com. It is the year-end review. We're taking the rest of the holidays off here. So our year-end review from 2018. Mike, so much to get to in this year-end review.
Yeah, we've always run a bunch of numbers and try to find some nice trends and sort of look back and reflect on the money in sports that was.
All right, we'll see if Paul can get this right.
Trivia, right?
Most viewed player contract on Spotrac.com.
LeBron?
Not even in the top five.
Really?
I was surprised too.
Thank
He
you,
was
Mike.
number 2 last year, wasn't he?
I would imagine.
Top?
I would imagine.
Because the guy who's number 1 was also number 1 last year.
Yeah, he's been consistently number 1 for the
Matter of
duration of
fact,
Spotrac.
I feel like I want to guess Aaron Rodgers.
No, but he's in the top 5. He's number 3, and he was also in the top 5 last year.
This is really a great list.
Yes.
I mean, it is
You're
all
close. Same position, Paul. Same position.
Same position.
Come on. His wife is more famous than him.
Brady. I just almost felt like that was too easy of an
I can
answer.
say Russell Wilson.
He is
Because he
consistent.
didn't really have a whole lot of contract dealings in the last year,
It's
right?
because he doesn't make enough.
Okay, gotcha.
People feed into that, and I don't disagree.
They want
with that.
they want to look it up because they can't believe how little
he's like the
making.
16th highest paid quarterback in
Okay.
football. You know,
All right, I
and he looks
gotcha.
like it this week. By the
Yeah.
way,
By the way, I did see that number somewhere that like Giselle made like $400 million or something
Yeah,
last year,
it
or
was
in her career or whatever.
400.
In her career, whatever.
I
it
would say
was.
she makes like $40 million a year.
Yeah, I think her career earnings are like $100 million more than Tom's.
they're closing in on a bill combined. They're closing in on a bill.
That's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
I can relate to Tom Brady. My wife's making more than me right now, so.
Yeah.
Who else are in the top 10? Now you've got me intrigued. Who are else are the top 10?
So number
most
2 is
viewed?
a basketball player, but it is not LeBron. It is not Westbrook. It
Durant?
is not Harden. It is not Durant.
You'll never guess this.
He's got a very unique facial feature.
Oh. You see it on Sesame Street sometimes.
I
Oh my
no
God.
idea.
Hey, Bert.
Anthony Davis.
Anthony. Oh,
The
the
unibrow.
eyebrows.
Davis.
Yeah,
Why doesn't he shave that, by the way?
it's a trademark now.
You kidding me? It's a brand.
It's a brand now. That's
It's a
right.
brand. Also, he does not care. And that's what I
Clearly
love.
he does
is,
not care.
He's the Andrew Luck of the NBA. He's fantastic. He is boring, and he is going to make a ton of money. And I think he's going to win a lot of championships with the Boston Celtics soon, by the way.
Ooh.
So there's my hot take for the end of
Whoa.
2018.
Wait.
Yeah.
All right, so how do you figure? You can't just roll by
It's going to
that
be
one.
like Kevin Durant leaving Oklahoma City. It's just going to have to happen eventually. New Orleans is going to have to let him walk eventually because the trade's going to be too big, and they're going to plummet as a franchise.
They let him go. Boy, what do they have?
That's what I mean.
Right?
I mean, there's no getting.
They become the
It's gonna
Orlando
take them
Magic.
5 years to get back from that, but yeah. But he's going to have to go. He's too big of a spotlight right now, and Boston has ridiculous amount of assets. Ridiculous. They've got 2 superstars they don't even need in that team right now, and 2 first-round picks. I mean,
I think Kyrie
it's ridiculous.
Irving's going to regret ever wanting to be separated from LeBron James. We talk about screwing things up there, huh?
he might be the piece to fall here, eventually.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
Out of Boston,
Yes,
but
I think so.
yeah, I do see a bigger future with Anthony Davis on a bigger franchise.
He is a
But
fantastic player.
He is our second most viewed on Spotrac this year.
3rd is Aaron Rodgers.
Yep. 4th is great.
4th.
Fourth is
Can you
phenomenal.
guess 4th?
It's a quarterback.
Clearly not.
It's a quarterback.
Clearly not.
QB. Come on, you got
It's a former MVP.
He's been to Disney World.
Yeah.
How's that?
Yeah.
I got nothing right now.
We're only doing this.
I got nothing.
We're only
Just don't
doing this
make me
by
look
the-
bad.
We're only doing this, by the way, because you have a plane to catch and you're wearing a tie.
Yeah, that's right.
Nick Foles.
Okay,
Nick
Nick Foles.
Yeah.
Nick Foles, 4th most because he was a Super Bowl MVP, and everybody's looking at that contract.
And everybody thought he was going to get traded.
It's
right?
actually a really interesting contract too. They restructured it. They extended him, gave him a signing bonus this year, just as a thank you, really. And boy, they needed to. By the way, I mean, because
Yes.
Carson Wentz doesn't look
he
good
went and
again.
got him a win.
But not only that, but to speak to that, Kevin, there are crazy incentives in this new deal. Every game he plays 33% of the snaps, he gets $250,000. Every game he wins, he gets another $250,000.
Nice.
So he got
He got
$500,000
$500,000 this past week just for playing and winning. So
That's a great deal for a backup.
it is.
That's awesome.
It is.
Hey, honey, wait. Get the kids the Power Wheels. I just made $500,000 last night.
Are you kidding? She's
Buy the
watching.
kids their own cars.
Are you kidding me?
Although he
She's
did it
living on every throw.
Although he did it in California, so you can't go with the SUV edition because you had to pay more taxes, as our friend Robert Rayola
Jock
would tell.
tax, yes.
Yes, the jock tax. All right, number 5. Paul, I'm going to put you on the spot again. Another
Killing
basketball player.
It got to be a Warrior.
No, it's maybe one of the top 3 players in the league, but not by name.
And I'll give
Giannis, is it?
No.
I'll give you another
Good
hint.
guess.
He's been traded.
Yeah.
He was traded in the offseason, and I'll tell you what, I'm impressed with what he's doing with his current team.
They're the best team in the East.
Yes.
And they were last year, too.
See,
Sixers,
Nope.
not Butler.
no, good guess, but no. Kawhi Leonard.
Okay.
Toronto Raptors.
See,
A guy that most people didn't know if he was ever going to play there, right? When the trade happened.
Yeah, that's why I'm impressed with what he's been able to do and go in there and be a leader, especially after Popovich kind of said he wasn't a leader, right? That little fire under his arse to get it going. I would have thought Giannis Antetokounmpo. Did I say that correctly?
Just on a,
Yes.
Yeah.
He got paid, but there's nothing really to it. It's really not an interesting situation, and he's in Milwaukee.
Right.
I mean, it's just tough to draw interest until they start winning, you know? Another one. I don't know how long he can last there.
I hope
he
he
stays
lasts.
forever because I
Yes.
know it's a good story.
He's
but
the greatest
boy,
Buck since Paul McKeskey.
You know the
right
big
now.
fish are going to come calling
Junior
soon.
Bridgman.
Oh, my God.
Well, I don't even know who that is.
You don't even know who Junior Bridgman is?
No, I know Paul Pressey.
Junior Bridgman's a great all-time
Stop antiquing
Milwaukee
the show,
Buck.
man.
Sydney,
Sorry.
Sidney Moncrief, Paul Pressey, Paul McKeskey. Jack Sikma was a Buck for a
See,
while.
now I think of Jack Sikma as a Sonic.
Yeah, well, yes. His
Yeah.
greatest days were with the Sonics,
Yeah.
but he's also a Buck for a while. Okay, why are you shaking your head?
Because we're
Let's look
old.
forward here. Let's look forward.
Well, I'm going to tell you what. Those names we mentioned, that was the first great era of the NBA, and now we're in another great era of the NBA,
sure are.
in my opinion.
We sure are.
I think the Shaq Kobe years were not a great era of the NBA. I really don't. I think
Okay.
that they're great players.
Okay.
But I think the 80s were fantastic, and I think now we're fantastic.
Because they didn't have competition? Is that why? There was less parity in
That's
those days?
correct.
And because
Okay.
there was a lot of cocaine back then, too.
Sure.
What? Who's bringing? Wow. Okay. Bring it for
right.
Paul to bring it to the disco club. All right. The top 5 teams viewed. Number 1 team. Can you? Paul will keep quizzing you.
Patriots.
Yeah.
Patriots number 1.
Yes, I
for
finally
sure.
got one of these right.
And I think that's probably because the Brady contract, right?
Brady.
Patriots, Warriors, Lakers, 3 of those are in the top
Ooh,
5.
You got the top 2.
Patriots, Warriors, baseball.
Yankees.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. And then Nick Foles' team.
Really?
Super Bowl
Eagles.
winning Eagles.
Okay,
Yeah.
interesting.
And then the Cavs are number 5.
Sure.
Which, I mean, that's fascinating. That's the Cavaliers. That's just because they're looking at LeBron James. We're talking 2018.
Well,
the
you got to
spring,
remember,
right?
they also extended Kevin Love for no apparent reason.
Right.
Gave him $120 million.
Right.
So,
Wow.
yeah, I don't know. That's not a great way to tank, but they went with it. So we'll see what they do over the next few years because they've got to rebuild that thing from nothing.
Think he gets moved to the Lakers?
Boy, I'll tell you where I think I see him fitting. I love him in Golden State.
Oh, he could fit anywhere.
I love him in Golden
Yeah.
State because there's going to be moves coming with Golden State. That's going to be the talk of 2019, right? It's going to be where's Clay going to end up? Where's Durant going to end up? Does Draymond stick around? And then obviously who's going to fill those roles? I just love him in that system because he can slow down. He doesn't have to be the jack of all trades like Cleveland asked him to be for so many years. I mean, if you remember his Minnesota days, he was just get the ball and go.
Correct.
He just rip it down from the board and go, and we'll have other guys shooting the ball. I just love him. That idea of him, especially now that he's older, with Steph Curry sitting around on a three-point line.
Sure.
But we'll see. It's a lot of money to make work, so we'll see where that goes.
All right, 2018 top earning players.
None of these should surprise you.
All right.
None of
This is by sport, Paul.
Yeah,
So
Rodgers.
football. Aaron Rodgers.
Rodgers because of the new contract.
$66.9 million. That's just in this year, 2018.
Wow. Just this year, right.
Yeah, so he, just in time for the new tax rules to take effect for him.
Right.
And he looks like he might be declining.
Right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Basketball. This might be tougher to get.
Well, I'm trying to think of who signed. It's all these are going to be guys that signed the big deals this year and got the big
Yeah, but
bonuses.
there's a lot of them now.
Well, I'll say it's not LeBron. Apparently, it's not LeBron. If it's going to surprise me,
It's not LeBron, no. Well, when you hear the name, it won't
Yeah,
surprise you.
he's
But
a
it's
top
tough.
3 player.
It's tough to guess because of all the great players in the NBA and the big money.
Yeah, it's Steph.
I would have guessed LeBron. Steph Curry.
Okay.
Yeah, for now, for a minute.
All right.
And then
Actually,
a lot of
Harden
contracts
would
kick
have been my guess.
He kicks in next
He
year.
kicks in next year with a big contract.
Gotcha.
Yeah, a few of those signed future extensions where they're going to kick in 19 or 20. So, but for now, it's Steph.
I thought baseball would have been the guy with the Yankees.
No,
It's Stanton.
Yeah, but
No.
it's not.
no. So he's got the biggest average over his contract. But in terms of 2018 money, it's Mike Trout. It's exactly who it should be. It's Mike Trout.
Can we say that
And
about
he's-
like the next 3 years it'll be Mike Trout,
And,
right?
and he was a best value player. On
Yeah,
his
which is
Spotrac
we talked
at
about this. It's
$33 million.
amazing. Yeah.
The big fish, Mike Trout.
Yeah,
Hockey.
there was a signing bonus involved.
Yes.
Eichel?
No.
No.
Not a bad guess, by the way.
Right.
Because of the signing bonus, but no.
Yeah.
Who signed a big signing
I-
bonus
this
year?
is-
Is
this
it
is-
re-signed with their current team?
No.
This is one of
free
the
agent splash.
Yeah, one of the biggest free agent signings in
Oh,
NHL.
Tavares in
Yes.
Toronto.
There you go.
Right.
There's your top four across
Yeah.
the board.
I mean, Stamkos they thought was going to be he re-signed with Tampa,
Right.
and then
He took
Tavares
a team-friendly deal.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Tavares to get the signing bonus and go play for Toronto. Not a huge surprise that he went to Toronto. It's either stay in the island or go to Toronto.
He's from there, obviously.
Right.
30-second take on Toronto. Was the Tavares signing worth it?
Yes.
Because they're going to have to lose one of these kids.
It's still worth
Still
it.
worth
To get a
Guy
great
is
player
still
like
worth
that
it.
who wants to be there, who grew up in his bedroom with Toronto Maple Leafs sheets on
Yeah.
your bed, absolutely.
Yeah,
worth
I
it.
agree too. I agree. They're going to lose one of them though.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think it might be Marner. That's going to be tough. That's good findings for somebody else.
They got to hang on to Matthews.
That's what I mean. You can't do that.
You
right?
won't let Matthews go.
Matthews is just as good, if not better.
Maybe they trade
Than
Nylander.
Tavares.
We've talked about this. Maybe they trade Nylander.
Yeah. That would be
And that's
my
how it
move.
works.
That'll be my move. All right.
Yeah.
Top spending teams of 2018.
These are going to surprise you.
Can you guess the football, Paul?
Because you got to.
Right.
This is cash spending.
Cash.
Okay.
This is cash
So
spending.
this is teams that had a lot of cap room and
That's
used
right.
it
Dumped
then.
it. That's
Yes. Football.
You should be able to.
We
get
know
that
it's
one.
not the Bills. All right, it's not the Buffalo Bills.
Well, I'm gonna take a stab at this because we've talked on this podcast about the incredible contract that he got, and we all forget about it because he's been hurt. But is it the Niners
Yeah.
because of the
Oh, yeah.
Garoppolo deal?
Yeah, they front loaded the hell out of that team.
Because what did
Everybody.
Garoppolo get? Like $20 million up front,
But
or
it was
something?
everybody. Sherman got a big 1 year deal. Jarek McKinnon got a big 1 meal
because they had all that money to
They
spend.
threw it all into 2018, and it obviously didn't pan out because of the injuries. But they're set up nicely now because those guys are all under contract, and the cap hits are going to drop a ton for those players. So if they're healthy and they can all make it work, that it really should be a good value going forward.
How do you feel about the Richard Sherman contract now?
No, right now.
Because we could have criticized it when he signed it because he did it himself.
I'll always criticize it.
Okay.
Just because he bet on himself too much.
Yep.
He's not going to make nearly what he should be making, so I'll downplay it for that. He's going to get to do it again, though.
Okay.
So I give him credit. I give him credit because it's going to pan out because he went out in the field and he produced. He shut down his old team this week. That was fun to see.
Right. All right. Here's
I hope he's a lot more intelligent with the next one. I hope he realizes he's at the end here and he's got to get this thing multi-year and he's got to be able to bet on himself for a 2-year deal here.
Richard. Call Mike next time you're a free agent.
Yeah.
He'll tell you what you
He
should.
did okay. He just a little too much pride.
Basketball. Again, money spent this year in basketball.
Already referenced them.
Yes. This team has already been referenced, Paul.
They've already been referenced.
They've already been referenced. So it's not-
Celtics?
Do you think that the cash flow is in comparison to the taxes? I was thinking about that after we talked to Robert a couple of weeks ago.
Yes, I do.
It's Toronto.
It's Toronto Maple Leafs.
And I really do wonder if they have to overpay because of the ridiculous tax situation in Canada.
Absolutely. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Yeah.
They have to offer a contract that accounts for the difference with all the Canadian taxes.
I think we're going to start seeing more and more of that because guys like Robert are really becoming more visible.
It's
I mean,
the way to
he's writing major articles about quarterbacks.
and it's the way
things
for
like
a
that.
team to level its playing field.
It
in
has
this
to.
case,
It has to.
Yeah.
Because especially in hard cap situations, teams have always had the leverage. And that's just not the case. I mean, I just did a tweet not too long ago about these young quarterbacks. These guys are all valuing 30. Even Goff, who looks like a bag of bones right now.
right?
Here's the other interesting thing is they have to pay him and this is even in hockey too. They pay him in U.S. dollars.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
yeah.
So there's the exchange rate.
There's the
and
exchange
then there's
rate.
a multiple tax situation.
Yes.
Yeah, and when the Canadian dollar is up, it's an incredible advantage for the Canadian teams. And when it's down, they have to overcome that gap.
And the savvy Canadian teams, I was told this by some, when the dollar was equal, they bought a boatload of U.S. currency.
Makes sense.
They converted a lot of their Canadian cash to U.S. currency just to hold on to it.
Smart.
For when it went there. That's what the smart teams do.
That's why Toronto gave them a big bonus, huh?
Could be. They probably,
They had reserve money set up. But by the way, that was one of our better shows of the year. The tax show with Robert Raiola. That was
he's great.
Learned a ton from
ton of
Robert.
nerdy learning right there.
Yep.
Yeah, but really, it's going to translate to so much of our conversation now because we're going to be thinking about that with every new signing.
Baseball.
Oh, this is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe this is the team in baseball.
I remember hating every move they made back in March when they did it, and now I see what it actually evolved to.
But you know what it means? They're going to win the World Series next year.
There's no way.
No.
I think they're still trading people right now.
I know. Just
Boy,
saying,
I wanted to
win
say
it
the
every other year.
Dodgers, but that's obviously
No.
not anywhere
Stay there, though.
close.
Stay there.
San Francisco?
Yeah,
Yes.
the Giants. They brought in
Yeah.
like 7 veterans that nobody else wanted and paid them way too much money or
Right.
took on trade values. $257 was their payroll.
Wow. Is this one of those those years every other year where they don't win and then they win the next year? Right? Wasn't there a run for the Giants where every
That's
other
right,
year they
yes.
went to the World Series or whatever? So I don't know whether we blew that out or not. So
I don't know.
Did they win three in recent
Yeah,
years?
oh, yeah.
So they did it every other year. You're right.
Yeah, I did some work on them because I was actually trying to value the Buster Posey situation and was he really worth it? He was worth it.
Yes, he was.
I mean, he had great years and they won because of him. I mean, there's
well,
no question.
that and the lefty there.
Yeah, Bumgarner.
Bumgarner, yeah.
Yeah.
He was amazing.
But they've got a lot of expiring arms and big bloated contracts, so
Well,
I
you
don't expect big things now.
You pay for it, by winning, right?
Yeah.
You win. You have it. You win 3 World Series. Giants fans, you've nothing to complain about.
Yeah, but I'll crap on that a little bit because look I did just reference this offseason they had where they brought in nothing but veterans.
Right.
Overpaid veterans.
Well, they're trying to do it again.
But that's not how you rebuild in this day and age.
Well, they weren't trying to rebuild. They were trying to
They
win.
were on the fly. They were trying to patchwork this thing with experienced players who cost too much money. None of that sounds correct.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you go out and you do this with trade assets, right? If you've got a guy you can get three decent cheap guys for, that's how you do this. That's how teams are. That's how the Yankees are doing this. And if the Yankees are doing this, everybody else should be doing this, right?
Well, they made the deal for McCutchen.
Yeah.
And then they're trading him to the Yankees.
Yeah.
So you're right.
They overpaid McCutchen. They brought in Longoria, who was getting way too much in Tampa. I mean, the list goes on. The Cueto deal, the Jeff Samardzija deal, it was all just way too much money, and they added more to it, the most in the league. So
Samardzija, by the way, what a smart guy, right?
Yes,
plays
sir.
football at Notre Dame
Yes, sir.
and plays baseball instead.
Kyler Murray's beta test, I think. Don't you think?
Yeah, fantastic.
Yep.
All right, and in hockey, can you guess the hockey team? And it's not the Leafs.
It's a super similar situation.
That spent the most money
They're spending.
year.
I
Cash
can't
flow.
believe how much cash flow they're spending.
Cash flow.
Cash flow. It's a veteran laden team that
Tampa?
No. Veteran laden team that I'll give you a hint.
It's a lot like the San Francisco Giants.
It is like
they
the
had a lot of
Giants.
winning years with
Yes.
veterans.
Chicago?
No.
They've won.
Good guess.
Well, they've had a lot of playoff years,
True.
and
One cup?
they've only won one cup,
One
and it was
cup.
back in 07.
Yeah, one cup. Wow.
I think it was 07.
Oh, my God.
Brad May was a member of this team when they won the cup.
Hey, you talking about Anaheim?
Yeah.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
They just got a lot of ducks in the
Boy,
row right
those
now.
are some teams that I would, I don't know how the heck I guessed them because I would have never have. So
Yeah, they just, you talk about a team that should have done more, and
Yeah,
they
that window's
haven't.
over, right?
They're like, the Sharks aren't much different, frankly, than the Ducks. The Sharks are better right now because they have some young players.
The
Like
Sharks are
Pavelski.
hanging on to players too long, if that's what you're saying.
Well, they're Thornton,
Yeah.
but Pavelski is
Yeah.
still a great player.
Yeah.
Logan Couture is still a pretty good player.
He's young.
They signed Kane, who's still relatively young. He's 26, 27 years old.
It is similar.
Yes.
It is similar.
But I like the fact that they have they went and got Carlson.
yeah, the Sharks should win the
Sharks.
cup, right?
The Sharks should come out of the West.
This should be Sharks Tampa Bay without even blinking, right?
Well, no, in the East, Toronto is going to be a factor,
Sure.
and don't discount the
Buffalo.
Caps.
And Buffalo.
And Buffalo's
got a lot of value on that team right now.
The team that comes out of the East is going to be beat up.
Yeah.
It's going to be a tough go.
It's like basketball right now. The West is beating themselves up, and, the Toronto Raptors are sort of standing on top of the East right now laughing at people.
That's right. And which the Cavs, when LeBron was with the Cavs, they just knew, let's get in the playoffs, and then we'll crank it up. And,
that's right.
I'll start playing, and we'll get us to the finals. All right, best values of...
I'll run through these quickly, actually.
Go ahead.
Don't make me guess. Thank you.
No, this is a tough one. Baseball had some interesting ones, but it was Judge. It was Aaron Judge.
Oh, because he's still on basically as a rookie deal.
He was hurt for a while, too, so I didn't know if he was going to actually make this cut.
It wasn't Betts, though, huh?
It was very, very close.
Okay.
It was very close between those two. And then pitching-wise, it's actually Corey Kluber, who's just on that team-friendly Cleveland deal, and it might be traded because of it. I mean, the assets he can bring back from the Yankees or the Dodgers right now is just ridiculous. So he's still on the block. We'll see where that goes over the winter. That's definitely something to watch. Basketball, this one definitely surprised me because I just don't see him as an elite talent yet. Former number 1 overall pick, one of the many on the 76ers, but it's Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons was actually last year's best value player, so we'll see what happens this year. There's probably some better candidates right now. There's some really nice players outperforming their money, especially in contract years right now, so we'll see where that goes. Football, I ran the 2018 metrics. There's no surprise here, right?
The best Brady.
Nope.
Best value player.
Think rookies.
Who's
the most exciting player in football right now?
Saquon Barkley.
Ooh, close.
Oh.
Close.
Well, he's not a rookie. It's his second year.
Second year. Rookie contract. Sorry.
Okay.
The guy Buffalo.
Tyreek Hill?
No.
Patrick Mahomes.
Oh,
Patrick Mahomes.
Sure.
Yeah, he's still on his rookie contract.
Still the best.
Maybe I'm
value
thinking
right
just because I'm thinking it wasn't going to be a quarterback. So.
Yeah. No, he's doing everything and more right now. He's market value of $34 million. So he's got better days to come.
Unless he goes all Brady on him.
And hockey, Kevin, I'm gonna let you take this one because I don't know if I can pronounce this guy's name.
Jonathan Marchessault.
From Vegas.
He was
Golden
Vegas.
Knights.
Yeah, he was Vegas at the time. So he was one of those pieces where that expansion draft just sort of all came together correctly and
right now the GM,
maybe illegally. Right.
All the wheeling and like they said.
It was like a video game.
McPhee was like in the catbird seat, right?
It's crazy.
It just just sitting there like, no, I'm not going to take that.
Pay us $1 billion. We'll let you build the roster you want to win the cup. Right?
That's essentially it.
You get in the league, give us a stadium, and we'll let you put this thing together however you want.
By the way, Seattle, I don't think you're getting that same situation.
No, it's
because
you may get the same situation. Other teams just won't deal with it.
There's no way. Yeah,
which, by the way, money-wise, that money, the expansion money, is not hockey-related revenue. Does not go into the cap.
It's all owners, right?
So that's why owners are always voting.
That's why they want to keep adding teams.
That's why they voted in to add teams.
It's the worst part of hockey, Kevin. It's the worst part of hockey that there's these two separate levels of finances. One should breed the other. How does it not happen? How have players not stood up for this? That the owners and the arenas can make all this money.
Unlike every other major sport, they don't make a ridiculous amount of money off television.
That's true.
I guess.
Well,
but that's going away for all sports.
Hang on, the Canadian deal. And we want to talk. We actually want to get to this, but let's say this: the Canadian deal that went through a few years ago. It upped the cap, but then all of a sudden the Canadian dollar dove again, and they had to lay off all these people who produce hockey. It was ridiculous.
We need to get hockey out of Canada. That's the problem.
Well, without
that's a joke. This is their sport.
You know what but it was $1 billion deal with Rogers that they did with the NHL for their national rights in Canada, and the U.S. deal's like quarter. It's maybe $250 million.
We'll talk about this because this is as it pertains to the TV rights, right? Yeah. We'll get to this.
Carter Hutton, by the way, great deal.
Yeah,
with the
best value goalie last year, and the Sabres got him for about $2.5 million over the next 3 years. So it's pretty unbelievable.
It's crazy what Buffalo's paying him.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But again, it goes back to what I've said many times. You do not need a great goalie to win the cup. You need a goalie to play great.
We'll get there too. We're going to talk about that a little more too, Kevin.
All right, who's going to gain the most money coming up?
I'm not sure if this is finances to be made or if it's just notable faces to keep an eye on over the next few months because contracts are expiring or maybe there's some movement to be made. But baseball-wise, it's far and away Nolan Arenado. He's one of my favorite players. He's probably anybody who knows him their favorite player right now. He's just one of those good, gritty third basemen who's, I mean, defensively he's phenomenal. You could pay him just for defense. That's how good he is at third base. But he's also a 5-tool stud offensively. He's valuing at 30. He's in Trout money land. He's going to be competing with Trout. Regardless of what Harper does, regardless of what Machado does, he's going to be in Mike Trout money. So
he's gritty like Chris Sabo, but he hits like A-Rod.
Great.
Wow, solid
Sabo reference.
Cross-decade reference there.
Got it. I was going to say Craig Nettles, but I feel like we're going way too old.
Yeah, he's already yelled at us for being, ancient.
He's like, who the hell's Craig Nettles?
No, kidding me? I've got baseball cards. Yes, that is how I reference Craig Nettles, by the way. I can actually see him in the old White Sox jersey right now.
Yankee,
Long-time Yankee. Great Yankee.
White Sox.
Okay. Well.
White Sox, trust me. Chris Sale is the pitcher to watch, and it's for two reasons. Number one, he's expiring in terms of the contract, but he also might be expiring in terms of his physicality. I did not like the way Chris Sale looked down the stretch for Boston. I think his arm or his shoulder or his abdomen or something is wrong. I've heard nothing about it since. I watch a lot of baseball, and they called it dead arm. We've heard that term a lot, especially with the Mets. We're very familiar in New York with that dead arm. I just think there's more to be said. He's thrown a lot of pitches. He's still young. He's valuing at $32 million, so there's a lot to be made here. Probably not in Boston, by the way, but just something to keep an eye on with him because I didn't like the way he looked physically to finish off 2018. So,
basketball.
Yeah. Oof. It's going to be fun. I didn't even put Durant on this list, but obviously Durant is the one to watch. Where does he go? Does he max out? All those things. I just think Klay Thompson's a more interesting scenario because if Klay leaves, can Golden State sustain? We saw them win without Durant. Right?
Yes.
But is Klay Thompson behind the three-point line too important to Golden State?
Well, I think he's too important to Curry shooting
That's what
threes.
I mean.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Got to have that other threat there.
Because, boy, he just looks great in the Lakers uniform right now to me.
That would be interesting.
Camping off the right side of LeBron James for the next 3 years.
So would Durant.
I disagree with that, and we'll get to that more.
Okay.
We've talked about that.
And then our sleeper, Kemba Walker. What a comeback for this kid. I mean, this kid was great in college. I remember seeing him tons in college. He just went to an organization that just hasn't gone anywhere.
Nova guy? Or Kentucky?
Connecticut.
UConn. Okay.
Remember that long Syracuse game?
Oh, right.
Oh, my
right,
goodness.
yeah.
The best.
That's right. Yeah.
6 overtime.
The best. He's been phenomenal. He's been one of the best point guards in the league. He's going to max out, I think. And that's another guy I could see out there.
And Jordan's not going to pay him, huh?
I don't imagine, just because they don't have the team to put around him right now that makes a max contract make sense right now with that team. It's another guy I could see out in LeBron land. I mean, holy cow! If they start clearing some cap and they get rid of Lonzo Ball, which is still very possible to me, I don't want people in love with him just because he's young and cheap right now. But man, I just can't even imagine a player of Kemba Walker right now as he looks with LeBron coming up the court. It's just perfect.
Walker can shoot, Ball can't.
Yeah, there's a lot Ball can't do in my opinion right now. He's a good, hardworking player. I do like the kid, as a basketball player. I just think the Lakers need better.
Yes.
They've got a 3-year window here. Football's really interesting. I went offense, I went defense here. Let's start with defense. If you haven't seen DeMarcus Lawrence on the Dallas Cowboys defensive line yet, you are missing something. You are missing the next Khalil Mack. Really. I mean, this kid is an absolute stud. He does everything right. His base market value is $21 million, which is Mack. So, I mean, the sky's the limit.
Get that signal Mack has with that stiff arm that he just shoves guys. I mean, it's amazing the power of both he and Mack display with that.
He's a very, very underrated player in terms of just, popular media. But I think he gets franchise tagged again. I don't think Dallas lets him leave because he's just too important to them.
They've learned anything from the Mack situation. You don't let edge guys like that go.
We'll get to Mack. Offense, I picked an unknown. I picked Teddy Bridgewater. Because obviously the quarterbacks are going to be the most important story because they're always the most important story. I don't know what New Orleans is going to do there. They gave up a 3rd-round pick.
I think
they
brought him in to cover them this year because they knew they were going to be good. I don't think he's in the long-term plans. Because what are you going to do?
Taysom Hill can't run that offense? They already had Taysom Hill.
Yeah,
he can't run that offense 100%.
I don't think they think Taysom Hill could run that offense if Drew Brees were out for a month.
I disagree.
I look at it differently. Go ahead, Kevin.
No, I disagree. I think Hill's the backup next year, and they get rid of this, using him in all those situations and groom him to be the backup quarterback or the next starting quarterback when Breeze is done.
Which is after next year, you believe?
Probably.
That's when his contract
Yeah.
is.
But
I'd say
to
that.
your point,
40,
Bridgewater's going to
done.
get paid because some team that believes he is back and healthy and ready to step in as their starter is going to give him
like
starter money in free agency.
Jacksonville.
Like Jacksonville.
Or Tampa.
Yes, I do think there's plenty of teams that will come calling. I'm not ready to give up on him in New Orleans yet. To me, they're just smarter than usually the rest of us.
True.
And if they paid what they paid to get him in, knowing he's never going to play, he's not going to play. He was never going to play this year.
Right.
To me, he's just in school right now. He's learning this Saints machine, this Sean Payton mechanism, completely behind the scenes. He's in school, going to school on Drew Brees.
They're going to try to convince him, we'll pay you, sit and wait a year or two till Brees retires.
I think they might give him a big contract. I think they might give him a 4 or 5 year contract this offseason.
Yeah, and basically say, wait for another year or two till
And
Brees
then it's
retires,
Patrick
and then
Mahomes.
it's you. And then he has to decide, is this offense so incredible that I'm willing to give up, I'm willing to wait to be able to start for 2 years?
It's one team we haven't mentioned. What about the Giants?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I keep hearing the wrong things out of New York. I don't know what you're hearing, but I keep hearing that Eli's coming
they're
back.
going back to Eli again.
I get it because starting over is hard, but you got to do it.
You have
You
to
got to
do
do better by Barkley and
You got to
Odell
know
Beckham
by
right
now that Eli just isn't good enough.
Not even close, especially for Beckham.
Right.
Beckham
Yes.
is dynamic. He wants to get downfield, and Eli can't throw the ball. He can't throw the ball downfield. So I don't like what I'm hearing there. So, yeah, Bridgewater makes sense there. He makes sense in Jacksonville. He makes sense in Tampa. He makes sense in Miami. That's 4
He's
without
a
even
Miami
trying.
kid, too, so
Yeah.
keep your eyes on that.
That's
And you
4
know
without
what?
even trying.
It won't pay state tax in Miami.
There you go.
Robert, we listen to you.
Yes.
Hockey.
Real quick, yeah. The Sabres are gone from worst to first, essentially, in 6 months here, and it's because of they got a goal scorer finally. They got Jeff Skinner. They got somebody to go next to these young kids, work hard, and score a ton of goals, and that's what Skinner has done in 2 months here. So he's asking for 8. I think he's going to get a little more than that when it's all said and done if he stays in this pace. It probably will be in Buffalo, so it's probably not going to be a guy you see hit free agency for too long if it happens. Goaltending, boy, we'll get to it real quickly, but man, Edmonton needed goaltending. They've paid tons of goaltenders that do nothing for a lot of years because they've been ready to go otherwise. I mean, they've got scorers on that team. This Mikko Koskinen kid, he's not playing a ton, but when he plays, he has been ridiculously efficient. So he's dirt cheap, that as all really good goaltenders are right now. And I think he's a UFA after this offseason. He gets probably $4 to $5 million. He's going to be the long-term Edmonton goaltender.
Benefiting from Hitchcock coming in and clamping down their defensive effort.
Finally.
Yes.
Okay.
Contract of the year.
The contract of the year.
Contract of the year is Paul. Guess contract of the year.
We've referenced them a few times now.
Contract guy. Well, I'm thinking of guys that signed ridiculously big contracts this year, and probably Khalil Mack, right?
Yes, Khalil Mack.
Yeah,
it is Khalil Mack.
I mean, that was either him or Aaron Donald, right?
So-
That's probably what my first two choices would have been.
Here's why I nominated Khalil Mack for this. Number one, it was a perfect deal. It hit all the numbers, the first-year money, the third-year money, the total guarantees, the average per year. All of it was great for what he was looking for. It's probably exactly the deal his agent put down on paper. And he's already outkicked it.
Yeah,
Right.
He really has.
He legitimately is
Look
already
how much
worth
he's
more.
raised the now that was a good defense to begin with. Look how much he's raised the level of that team.
He's missed 2 games.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
By the way, because we talked about this on an earlier podcast, I did talk to some NFL people and confirmed what had been reported and what we discussed was the reason the Raiders didn't make any effort or didn't re-sign him was because of the escrow.
Yeah.
Because of how much did he get guaranteed?
Oh, 60-something. But
They would have
he got
had
$40
to
million this year.
immediately put $40 million of guaranteed money into escrow, and because of their scenario until Vegas happens, they don't have the
So what-
money.
you're saying
they
they're
just
broke.
don't. Yes.
The Raiders are broke.
As it relates to an NFL team, they are clearly the lowest revenue generating team, and they did not have the money, which is why they really made no effort to negotiate with them.
So they're the equivalent of being house poor. You all know a friend who's got a beautiful house, got no furniture in it. They're house poor.
So this is why Gruden's not even talking.
Yeah.
I think
sure.
you could make that
His hands are completely tied.
conclusion. Why bother?
What can he say?
He must have been told we can't sign him, so don't bother talking to him.
And for those out there, griping about his $10 million per year. From what we've heard, it's not $10 million
it's
now.
It's not 10 loaded, not now.
Right? It's backloaded. It's
for the same reason. They just don't have the cash. They have the worst stadium in the league. They don't generate money in sponsorships, in club seats.
Can you blame them,
which is why they're leaving.
Well, and Mark Davis, his business is the Raiders.
Correct.
That's it, right?
Correct.
He doesn't. He probably has some other things, but
can you really blame the Raiders? I mean, this
feeding.
is the NFL. It's really hard to make money in this league. What are we doing here?
Well,
good God.
But hold on. But when you say you're leaving, it is hard to make sweet sales, sponsorship.
They don't know
sales.
where they're playing next year. How are you selling any season? You don't even know how to sell any season tickets yet.
I have to. You're right, but I have to say this. Shame on them. Shame on them. Then don't be ready to win, because you had an all-time Hall of Fame pass rusher.
Yes,
which is the second most important position in football.
And they made a decision to sign their quarterback.
You
instead.
had to let him walk because you're broke.
Well, because
Shame on them.
because they made the decision to spend money on their quarterback.
They could have cut him.
Yeah, well,
they could have cut Carr this year.
They also traded their top receiver.
They decided to keep Carr and not Mack. That's the wrong way to look at this.
I don't know whether it was an or whether it was let's sign Carr now and let's hope things get to the point where we'll have the money to sign Mack. I don't know.
That shows you have no friends who won't loan you the money. Right?
Yeah, I need $40 million because we need to keep Mack.
Yeah,
that's a phone call you make, right? Man, shame on the Raiders. I get it. It's a tough situation. They're going to get sued. I mean, it's not a Merry Christmas for the Oakland Raiders.
You're right about, though, how the hell can you not have the money to pay who might be your greatest defensive player in your franchise's history?
It's terrible.
You're Lawrence
and you can't
Taylor.
blame timing. Can't blame timing.
No, you knew this was happening.
Yeah.
Like, plan for this stuff.
Yeah.
I think that was if there's one thing that I learned through the course of this year and doing this, it's the fact that all guaranteed money immediately goes into escrow in the NFL. Because I don't know that I ever knew that. I don't know that I ever thought about that. Yeah. So every contract that has a certain amount of guaranteed money, that money has to be deposited right away by the team. So can you just imagine, and I'm sure you can run the numbers, how much escrowed guaranteed money is sitting in bank accounts somewhere for NFL teams?
Up in Green Bay right now?
Yeah.
I mean, good
you
Lord.
Bet. Yeah. So again, and again, that's
Green Bay doesn't have an owner,
right? Well, and there's a money scenario. This is Mike Giannetti's world. There's a money scenario that impacts personnel decisions
poorly.
Yeah,
I mean, to the Bears' benefit, the Bears are Super Bowl contenders right now.
Yep.
Legitimate Super Bowl contenders.
Clearly, the Raiders need a sock drawer. They don't have a sock drawer, a sock full of cash.
Bury some of this cash, man. Mark Davis needs another job, clearly, right?
He needs to buy a couple of more 1987 vans that he drives around and just load those up.
That's
with
pretty
cash.
cool, though.
Explains the haircut. All right.
Oof. All right. Some parting thoughts. What do you think? Some parting thoughts.
Part away.
Let's stay with football real quickly here. Le'Veon Bell. Not a great year. Not a great year for Le'Veon Bell. Not only did he not make $14 million because he's betting on himself, but everything that he needed to go wrong went wrong.
Yes.
James Conner was great. Jalen Samuels,
but he's going to get paid
great.
anyway. So
I disagree.
You don't think so?
I have turned a corner here on that situation because there is a list. I didn't even try to make a list of running backs that were basically no-namers to start this year who are legitimate stars for that position. Nick Chubb. Austin Eckler, Phillip Lindsay, Marlon Mack, Matt Breida, the third and fourth string running backs in San Francisco.
Yeah.
All of the running backs in Baltimore.
Seattle's running backs.
All of Seattle's running backs. You have legitimate depth for minimum salaries. There is no reason.
Adrian Peterson hurts him.
$1 million.
Playing for $1 million.
$1 million.
This was
David Johnson, who did get paid. LaShawn McCoy, who did get paid.
Yeah.
Half of Todd Gurley's season, who did get paid. Were terrible.
Yes.
David Johnson was a non-factor in 2018.
This is terrible on his part because you're never going to recover the $14 million.
Well,
ever.
Until the Jets pay him that this offseason.
Yeah, but
I'll tell you this.
But that's another year of earning, Paul. He missed out. He missed out on a year of prime earning dollars.
Right. If he needed $30 million guaranteed to cover this last year's that he missed,
no way.
I don't think that happens
unless
anymore.
a year off and unless a year of no wear and tear extends his career.
Great, but it won't be at $15 million.
True.
He needs that money up front guaranteed right now, and I've turned a corner on him actually making that. Even the Jets, who are going to pay Mike McCarthy to coach them, and they're going to go all in, right? They're going to go all in on this offense with Sam Darnold. Even if they go and overpay, it's not going to be for him. They'll give him a nice contract, but I don't think he's making $30 million guaranteed up front. I just don't anymore. Makes no sense at that position.
Yeah, that's the
quickly a guy who's going to get $30 million next year just to show up. Kevin Durant. Where's he going? Where's he going? We've had this conversation, but I want to get this on record right now before this calendar year turns, because I've got two really fun teams, none of which are Golden State and none of which are the Lakers.
Knicks and Washington.
Okay, Washington's nice.
Can I guess one? I don't know if they have the cap room for it.
Who?
San Antonio.
Yeah, all right. So I'm going to stay in that state. I like the San Antonio idea. I like him with Pop, just because it might curb his ego a little bit, which has that thing surfaced this year. My goodness. But I'm going to stay in Texas, where he played college, and I'm going to go Dallas. Dallas has a superstar rookie in Luka Doncic. Superstar. I mean, legitimate.
Yeah.
And cap space to boot. They're going to dump some guys off the trade deadline and in free agency next year. They're going to have legitimate cap space. They've got a superstar playmaker to go with him. I think it's going to be all guns in for Mark Cuban going after Kevin Durant.
And Cuban can get him on Shark Tank like A-Rod's been on a few times.
And he can maximize his brand.
Yes.
Which maybe that's not a guy who needs that, but he might not know he wants it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I love the Knicks, and I love Dallas. I like San Antonio. That's a good one, too. I think Washington's in a rebuild mode, Paul. I think they're going to be trading more.
Yeah, I know there's some
pieces.
people think because it's hometown for him
Sure.
that he might be interested in going there. But.
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's get right to
They've
the
been
end
good
here.
since Jeff Ruland.
Oof.
Thought I'd throw another.
Wes Unseld.
By the way, another thing to get on record here. What's going to happen with the Redskins quarterback situation? Talk about Teddy Bridgewater.
There you go.
If Alex Smith can't play, Colt McCoy's got a broken leg. I'm not sure he's going to be ready for the start of next year.
Not good enough anyway.
And he's not going. Yeah, he's not a long-term option. They're going to be a middle pick at 7-7.
And do they have the money because they're still going to be paying
Alex Smith? They're going to have to get somebody.
Are they a draft?
Are they Blake Bortles?
Are they a top 10 draft possibility?
Blake Bortles seems like the absolute perfect guy for that team right now. Let's talk real quick about TV money and ratings and all that thing. It's sort of our parting, our finale here to this 2018, because it's changing. A lot of things are changing. Right, we've watched games on Amazon. We've watched games on Yahoo on our phones this year.
Right, that's the interesting thing to me is, and maybe we don't see it in 2019.
Yeah,
maybe we're 5 years away from this. But the more and more that we're going to be able to watch games exclusively on our phones, on apps, on
where we're betting,
Twitter,
by the way,
and wagering. Yeah, I mean. So you can look at it, is that going to be an additional revenue model, or is that where all the media rights are going to go instead of from the networks?
Yeah.
Right? Because the less we're watching on TV, the less there is for networks to sell the advertisers, and then do we have to pay per view all of this?
Yeah, I think it's coming. I think there's going to be, the ratings were phenomenal this year. Right,
it's great.
For the hit they took last year for whatever reason. NFL ratings are way up. Baseball had a good year financially. Basketball is just flourishing, in terms of revenue off and on the court. So the money is there, but let's put some real time examples to this. What happens when ESPN's Monday Night Football deal comes up? Is that worth their billions anymore? Knowing that Monday Night Football is being, I'm streaming it. I'm streaming Monday Night Football.
The interesting thing about ESPN and Monday Night Football, ESPN in general, they're owned by Disney.
Yeah.
And Disney makes the calls on that.
It looks like it too, by the way.
Right. But Disney knows if they have networks, live sports is where it's at. You have to have live sporting events because it's appointment viewing. It's not DVR'd. Right? So advertisers
there's no way to DVR a sporting event anymore.
Correct.
It's impossible.
Advertisers want to be on live sporting events more so than other programming.
Okay.
So they can charge premium dollars for it. So I think leagues are still going to get premium money from networks to keep networks frankly relevant. Outside of live sports, what do you watch on network television? You don't.
It's very limited.
Right.
But But
Except all those Hallmark movies you're watching.
My point is, I'm streaming most of them now.
Sure.
And digital advertising isn't close financially to the live networks.
Well, because right now,
and that's the problem these guys are having, is that if I'm watching ESPN.com instead of ESPN on a network on a TV, the advertising that they're making off of the .com is way, way lower. It's way lower.
Well, they're in the live games. Much of it, what you're seeing is it's the cross advertising, because you're getting,
not always.
You're getting the network feed sometimes, and then occasionally you get violators
it's mixed
that are
in.
digital stuff.
Yeah,
right?
It's mixed in.
But as those numbers grow, they'll be able to charge more.
It's going to have to catch up, though, is what I'm saying, because they're all taking a bath right now with the digital advertising part of it, because advertisers haven't seen the immediate kickback yet. They're going to, because we're all holding devices now. Like, we're all watching Yahoo, Yahoo's live stream of sports while we're in church.
Right.
We're all doing that. Right? So it's
How
happening.
we do it during the sign of peace?
It's happening. I'm muted, all right? Come on.
No, listen, it's amazing how it is now. I remember sitting in a college lecture hall listening to an Olympic hockey game on a transistor radio.
Paul, I've been at a hockey game watching golf on my phone.
Right. Well, see, that second screen, right?
Yeah, yes.
So what that's been able to do, the second screen has been allowed us to watch two events at the same time.
Yeah. If you don't have 4 TVs, you're nobody right now.
Right. No, it's serious. So you're allowed to watch multiple things, and therefore, I think the media money is always going to be there, and
it's just got to adjust, though. It's got to catch up.
Well, I think it's just going to shift. I think the money it'll shift to, and frankly, a lot of these networks are intertwined with. They have deals with the digital part, right? Because they know they've got to be in the digital space to be in our hands watching games.
Well, let's make this relatable right now. Where it's also going to shift is NFL Live on ESPN is being replaced by a fantasy podcast.
Sure,
it's happening. Right in front, it's happening right now, right? It's why we're not doing TV shows. We're sitting in front of microphones right now talking, because this is what people want.
Right.
Because they can do this while they're multitasking, which is just the buzzword of this generation.
Sure.
Right? I need to be doing this while I'm mowing the lawn. And that's what this is all about. So, we're speaking into podcasts because that's where everything's going here. That's just another dynamic that's changing. The live radio exists, but, there's a schedule to that. So the advertisers are going to have to shift there as well. And that's just revenue that's going to have to shift from the live feed on radio or the live feed of these network television shows that ESPN is desperately trying to, make work, like the get-ups, those side of things. And
you know what, ESPN,
there's going to be a wave, a big change with that, I think.
Well, it is interesting. Those shows, in ESPN, I think, has even said this. They want to go make SportsCenter great again.
Yeah.
Thank you. No, thank you. Because, I even though I can look at the scores of games and I can watch highlights at times, I still present it to me. I'm old school in that way, but I will. I do watch SportsCenter in the morning to see the stuff that happened, and they're getting less and less of the opinion stuff and more of the analysis.
It's good,
which is great.
It's good,
right?
We got to be able to learn right now. People want to learn.
Yes, I want to see what happened. Tell me why it happened, and move on.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm smart. I'm an educated consumer. I can formulate my own opinion. I don't need Stephen A. Smith yelling at me. No, I don't. I don't.
Those shows are going to die eventually.
Yeah, he's made a great career out of it. Fine, but it's not. I'm not the consumer of that. I'm just using him. Skip Bayless, Shannon Sharp, whoever.
That's fair.
Those shows don't do it for me because they're just spouting off stuff. Yeah. I have my own stuff.
There's a pro and a con to all those shows, and that's the problem, right?
Right, and people might say the same about this.
Come in with an actual take of pro or con and verify it with data, and that's to me that's where things need to go. Not just in sports, but I like when I get it from the ex front office people. Yes.
Ex-players who have been there.
Yep. The Romos and the Collins where it's on broadcast.
Right.
Yes.
And course. I can say that because I work for a team, so I feel like I have some more to bring than just a writer who's never, and I'm not saying this to put down writers. I'm saying, but they've never been on the inside.
Yeah.
right?
For the most part, yeah.
But some do fantastic work because they're trusted and people will tell them things.
Well, talk about a generation that's changing, right?
Yeah, no, it is.
Sports writing, my goodness.
It is a generation that's changing, and I think we're going to see that programming reflected. But when it comes to the live events, that's where the money is. That's what the money's all about. The ancillary program, if I'm advertisers are going to go away from that, and they want to stick with the live sporting events because that's where the eyeballs are, whether it be on this phone, whether it be on the television,
I think the point here,
on
Kevin,
the computer.
It's no one's going to stop watching.
No one's going to stop
Right.
watching.
You give us an option, we're going to do it.
And so the money's always going to be there.
It's just, the market has to catch up to the trend, and the trend, I think, is device. Yeah, for sure. And
this is the trend. Frank, you're right about the on-demand programming, podcasts, the video podcasts, recorded podcasts like this. This is the trend. This is it. People can find their niche, what they want to listen to, and go to.
But we have a responsibility, I think, on this show. And it's not just to become pros and cons, right? We're not going to sit here for another year and just go back and forth with each other and complain about things. Hopefully we're educating some people here and having some fun with it, and it continues that way, and that's a positive with podcasts. I listen to dozens of podcasts, more than I should admit, but it's and I know I'm not alone in that. So it's a good medium. It's a great medium. I love being able to stream these games, all these sports on all these devices, and hopefully it just it continues and the product gets better.
All right, great stuff. We are, how many shows are we in? We're over 60?
Almost 60
Almost
shows.
60
That's
shows.
some great guests this year, too. Hopefully we can continue that as well.
Yeah, we'll do our best to bring that to you. As always, and maybe not as always, maybe you don't know this, but if you have a question or comment, feel free to do so. Reach out on Twitter at Spotrac. Feel free to leave your comments there. Also, make sure you check out the premium section of Spotrac.com. There's the Total Sum podcast. It's an ad-free experience on there and other tools that you're able to use at Spotrac.com as a premium member. Be sure to check us out on Spotify, iTunes, and where you are. Give us a rating. Yeah, and, be honest. You like us? Tell us. If, you're not that enthralled with it, I guess you can give it a rating, but keep it to yourself. No, I'm kidding. We appreciate that, the ratings and all that. We appreciate you listening, not only this year, but since the beginning of this, and we have more to come in 2019. For Paul Peck and Mike Giannetti, the founder of Spotrac.com, I'm Kevin Sylvester. Have a great holiday season and Happy New Year.